also have the chairman for our alumni, my dear brother, Mr. Turui, and of course, all the board members and also the excos to the alumni. I want to welcome you all, and virtually everybody, and Brother Shion as well. We want to welcome you. All right, so today we will be looking at renewable energy opportunities in Nigeria. And somehow I stumbled on a document that talks about the fact that with renewable energy, 60% of Nigerians' energy demand in the year 2050 can actually be met with this renewable energy that we want to talk about. And this will actually save Nigeria 40% in our natural gas and also 65% concerning our oil needs. And to do justice to this important solution, we all know that INT is all about solutions. There is a problem that is attached to your name, you know, that Mama Peggy tells us, and somebody has to take responsibility for that. And if I can remember Reverend J's popular statement, angels don't build nations, it's the human beings that build nations. So to do justice to this important topic that we'll be looking at today is somebody who has actually taken that responsibility. He was part of the pioneer class in INT 001, and that's no other than Dr. Segun Adaju, the CEO of Consistent. I love that name. I hope that he will be able to tell us, you know, the story behind that name, Consistent Energy Limited. So just give me 1 or 2 minutes while I read his profile. So Dr. Segun Adaju, the founder and chief engineering officer, I love that, of Consistent Energy Limited, is an international expert in the field of renewable energy and the pioneer president, Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria, for 6 years. He is a graduate of the University of Lagos, and he holds a BSc in economics and also an MBA degree with over 2 decades of banking experience in a reputable financial institution in Nigeria. So he recently bagged a doctorate degree in business administration. Yes, I think we saw the picture. I think that was about last year. Yeah, from Swiss School of Business and Management, Geneva, that's in Switzerland. Dr. Segun has been at the forefront of promoting creation of energy access for the undeserved and unserved across Africa for 12 years running. He has acquired professional training in the field of renewable energy at Renewable Energy Academy. This is situated in Berlin, Germany. Euromoney Financial Training London Development Bank of the Southern African Cape Town, ECOWAS Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency, that is in Togo, Lomé. We also have the International Renewable Energy Agency, that is in Abu Dhabi, and United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO. He has attended top-rated business schools, including Harvard Business School, Lagos Business School, MIT, the School of Management, and Frankfurt School of Management, and a host of others. He has provided expert and consulting services for several institutions, cutting across public, private, and developmental agencies, such as the Ministry of Power, Rural Electrification Agency, the World Bank, African Development Bank, ECOWAS Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. We also have Bank of Industry, USAID, you have the European Union, you have GIZ Nigeria Infrastructure Advisory Facility, and many, many others. So he is also a facilitator in the Energy Policy Commission of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. Segun was appointed by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Budget, and National Planning into the technical working group that is specifically for power and alternative energy for the development of the medium-term National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, and also the Nigeria Agenda 2050. And incidentally, I just mentioned the fact that 60% of our Nigerians' demand, for 2050 can be met by renewable energy. Yeah, so in wrapping this up, he is the owner and former president, Renewable Energy Association of Nigeria. Is a member of the Board of Trustees, Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency Associations, Alliance and Interim Coordinator, West African Renewable Energy Alliance. Is also a member of over a dozen global organizations such as GOGLA, Global Solar Council, Alliance for Rural Electrification, Clean Cooking Alliance, amongst others. Alumni and our dear friends that have joined us when we sent the invite, because we know it's not just the alumni, we also have friends, family members, and shall I say those who are interested in this topic that we are about to discuss, to see the opportunities that are in this sector in Nigeria. And I'd read the profile of the expert, the person who has taken responsibility for this. So please welcome with me Dr. Segun Adaju as he takes over from me. Dr. Adaju, thank you. I love your white beard. That is a brand of Dr. Segun Adaju. Please take over, sir. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ma, for the intro. I'm humbled, and I also say good evening to everyone. And I hope you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you. So you will be wrapping up by 9:20. I forgot to mention that to you, 9:20. So
yes,
we probably have about 35 minutes to do this. Then
right.
from 9:20 to 9:30, we will take questions. So if you still want to put the questions on the chat, please do so. I will take note of that. But from 9:20 to 9:30, we will take questions. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you so much. So I'll just quickly jump into the subject matter so that we don't waste too much time. Maybe because of bandwidth, you might permit me to just switch off my video. The most important is the slide that we'll want to see tonight. Please let me know when you can see my slide. Just kindly confirm that we can see the slide.
Yes, we can see the slide. We can see the slide.
All right, great. So thank you so much. I give all the honor and privilege to God for this opportunity, and also thanks to everyone. My dear chairman, my Egbon, Dr. Toluhi, let me just mention, let me especially recognize you. I also have here joining me tonight my wife, Fumi Layo Adaju. Thank you for the support and also for taking time to join. So straight away, renewable energy opportunities in Nigeria. So when we talk about renewable energy, I just want to refresh in mind. Many of us, we have an idea, we actually know what it is. So it's actually energy that is generated from what we call natural resources. And why are they renewable? Why are they termed renewable? Because they can easily be renewed and replenished. So what do I mean? For example, what we call fossil fuel takes many years to form. But renewables, for example, solar, every day it gets renewed. So that's the difference. And they are produced from resources that are not harmful to the earth. And most times they are called green energy. I'll cite some examples. For example, we have the sun, which is from solar. We have hydro from water. We have bioenergy from waste. You'll be surprised that there are houses, residential, apartment, prisons, and some other huge facilities that are powered by waste generated by human beings. Okay. There's wind, there's tidal wave, um, you know, and the rest. So I've also mentioned one called geothermal, which is energy from the air, the heat generated by the earth. So there are ideas that, for example, if at the Kogosi spring, hot water and cold water is meeting, there's something going down under the earth that can actually be converted to energy. Now, let's talk about the opportunities in Nigeria. And this presentation will focus on four major renewable energy sources that have been tested and deployed in Nigeria. Geothermal has not been done. So we have hydro, of course, water. Now, there's a difference between large hydro and small hydro. Small hydro most times are referred to as renewable energy because they have less, little or less impact on the environment. Large hydros display the ecosystem, so most times they're not classified as renewables. But let's look at hydro. The potential that we have in Nigeria is over 15,000 megawatts. So you'll be surprised that it's only 20% of the mega 5,000 megawatts we are generating in Nigeria that comes from hydro. Meanwhile, we have potential of 15,000 megawatts. Solar is the most prominent in terms of renewables, and I'm going to be focusing more on that tonight because that's where I also have that experience. So how do we measure the potential of solar? It's measured by the what we call kilowatt hour per square meter per day, and it can range from about 3.5 in the south of Nigeria to almost 9 in a place like Maduguri and the rest. Wind, there's also some potential. There's a 10 megawatt wind farm somewhere in Katsina that is still challenged also. And then bioenergy, I mentioned, energy that you generate from waste. So there's the largest project in Nigeria is by Presco Biogas, where waste from agricultural produce is generated to biogas, and either for cooking or to fire turbines and generate energy. Now this is, I mean, what the world looks like, and you can clearly see where Africa is, and particularly Nigeria. So when Africa is referred to as the dark continent, I'm not too sure it's the skin of my, I mean, the color of my skin. Maybe this is why they refer to us as dark continent. Now let's talk about the energy status in Nigeria. We are talking about the opportunities in renewables. So where you have the biggest challenge is where you have the most prominent opportunity. In Nigeria currently, about 55% of all of us have what we call electricity access or energy access. Almost half of Nigeria is not connected to national grid. And it's worse in rural areas, where you can have up to average 55 in city centers. In rural areas, it can even get as low as just 20%. In fact, some communities in Nigeria are not connected to the grid as we are speaking. Just like the moderator mentioned, their targets, Nigeria plans to power all of us by year 2040. But there's a lot of work to be done. And if we have to achieve that, my experience shows that renewables will take, 60%, just like she mentioned. Now, as I begin to narrow down my area of core competence, which is solar, let me just do a simple analogy of Lagos, of Abuja and Berlin. Abuja and Berlin. From this map, you will see that we have more solar resource in Abuja than in Berlin. Meanwhile, there was a day I went on a study tour, and in Berlin, Germany was generating over 22,500 megawatts from solar alone. Meanwhile, they don't have as much resources as we have. In fact, it's been estimated and documented that if we pull solar panel on 1% of our land mass in Nigeria, we will generate enough energy to power ourselves in Nigeria. Talking about the opportunities, and it's further in the northern part of Nigeria. Now, why are we also talking of opportunities? So there's Nigeria's plan to transit, in terms of energy, transit to clean energy. It's called energy transition. By 2060, Nigeria plans to achieve what we call net zero by 2060. And of course, a lot of resources are required and will be pumped into this sector. In fact, they are already being pumped to this sector. And if you have that knowledge and information, you can take advantage of that opportunity. Remember, where you have the biggest problem, that's where you have the biggest opportunity. And of course, several resources that are required, funding from government, funding from private sector, over 23 billion investments has been identified across the value chain. And I can confidently tell you that those resources are already coming into Nigeria. And I'll cite some examples from my little experience over 12, 13 years of the funding that are already coming to the renewable energy space in Nigeria, which all of us can take advantage of. Now, there's also the reason why we're talking renewables is because the world is worried about climate change. And so most resources today is flowing towards climate change, what we call mitigation and adaptation, another subject for another day. And more than 50% of those funds that is coming to climate change issues flows into renewables. In fact, in Nigeria, I think it's over 80% of all resources coming to climate finance space goes to renewables. A typical example, Nigeria took $550 million from the World Bank and AFDB to support a program called Nigeria Electrification Project. The same the Nigerian government has also gone to take another $750 million in a new program called DES. The organizations like FCDO, Foreign Commonwealth and Development Organization, I think, have funded several, Olon, for example. Olon is incubated by Shell. They have a $200 million. And Nigerian companies, investors and partakers in this space are taking advantage of this. So these are information that we all need to dig further and then take advantage of them. Let me share my experience, my private sector experience with you, with all of us. Now, I wish that once at the end of this, we will begin to see opportunities in this space. One of them is that if you are using generator right now, you will be spending much, much more than using renewable energy technologies. So that's the first step. Rather wasting money on generator. I call it, why burn your money on generators? Don't burn your money on generators, because once you buy fuel and you put on that generator, it's smoke that you see. So it's like burning your money. Meanwhile, renewables is permanently there, and particularly solar. You can use it year in, year out. I've been on solar for over 10, 12 years. I think so. So what are my experience? I was transiting from banking. I mean, when I also listened to a lecture like this, and then it started to ring in my brain, and I started to make some research to know what are the opportunities. One of the first things I stumbled on was the Nigerians off-grid solar markets, the opportunities that exist, because there are huge gaps. The average energy that we require is about 1 megawatt per, I think 1 gigawatt per a million. So that means Nigeria will require right now, if we are 200 million, okay, let's say 220 million, we require 220,000 megawatts. Meanwhile, we have 5,000. That doesn't mean Nigerians are not powering themselves and will know what the alternative is. Generators. So Lagos alone gets 1 megawatt of power from the national grid out of the 5,000. Lagos is even lucky. Lagos has two Discourse distribution companies, Eko and Ikeja. And Lagos gets 20%, only Lagos. So that means the balance of 80% is shared by all the other states. Meanwhile, it's just 1,000 megawatts that get to Lagos. What Lagos requires today to at least have some level of energy is between 9 to 10,000 megawatts. So, and self-generation in Lagos is over 15,000 megawatts. That means generators pounding away in Lagos right now is over 15,000 megawatts. And the investment that is required is huge. The level of expertise also needed. For example, Lagos requires over 20,000 engineers right now to be able to power itself over the next 15 years. These are market studies that caught my attention when I was transiting from banking. And it's been estimated that, so what I'm doing is to do a sample. So I'm using Lagos as a sample. I could also use Maiduguri, and I mean, you can even see clearly the numbers. At the time, I was consulting for the government of, Borno State government, and we found out that on a day, about 2 or 2.5 megawatts was getting into Borno State. I'll repeat, 2.5 megawatts. Remember, Lagos gets about 1,000 megawatts. And I mean, almost everywhere in Borno in those days were in darkness. Okay. And so Lagos, now, peculiarity of Lagos. So people ask me the question that, oh, Segun, are you sure you still be in business if our power sector gets their acts right? Let me use Lagos as an example. 95% of the population of Lagos, they are what we call near grid. Most of them are connected to national grid. Yet there's no power enough, to energize all of us. So that means, and then I mentioned that even in the US, Elon Musk invested in and bought a solar company. Of course, he's doing a lot of electric vehicles. So even in US, that has one of those clients that have high energy assets, they're still deploying solar. Canada is still doing solar. So, I mean, it's a sector that will be relevant until maybe when Jesus Christ comes. There was a study, I did some consulting over 1 year last year with Lagos State government through the African Development Bank, and we did a mapping of rooftops in Lagos. Lagos alone. So when I'm using Lagos, I'm telling you, I'm ring fencing Lagos and using it as as an example of what is possible. And you can extrapolate it over Nigeria. Now, the opportunities for renewables, particularly solar, is higher in other markets than Lagos. But see the potential that Lagos has. So we found out that if we all put solar panels on the rooftops in Lagos, 72% of which are residential, we will generate over 12,000 megawatts of power. Decentralized PV. Huge opportunity. Now, imagine what happens in Sokoto, what happens in Lokoja, what will happen in Abuja, what will happen in Nasarawa. Remember, we talked about four renewable energy sources: solar, hydro, bioenergy, and wind. Lagos alone has huge energy. I mean, if you go to the Olusosun, Epe, Lasu Iba Road, you see massive waste that countries like India has taken advantage by converting them into energy. I visited a plant in, I think it's Rajasthan in India, where waste from fruits are being converted to energy. And the company that was producing, what do I mean, fruits, juice, and the rest, was now generating about 2 megawatts from the waste to power itself. So you can imagine the opportunity that we have in a place like Lagos. Lagos today generates, I think, it's gone almost to about 18,000 metric tons of waste per day. So what happened? And like I mentioned, I was transiting, and let me say this: it was at a difficult moment of my life. I just lost the business as at then, and I was thinking of what next to do. And I remember, and I also share this. This is also the spiritual side of this. I was lucky to participate in a program, in a training program by the Institute for National Transformation. So INT is a platform where we are speaking tonight, and I must mention this. And I say that, during that period also, I was very lucky. It was a low moment of my life that I was thinking what next. And I was also lucky. God, enabled me to meet two transformative leaders that has also shifted my life. One of them is Professor Vincent Anibogu. Two of them. The one of them is Professor Anibogu. So at that time, I was just trying to think of what next. And I started seeing a problem of energy. I also shared that spiritual aspect with you before we close. That look, SMEs, small businesses, they have the huge challenge of energy because I was I'd left microfinance, and I also realized that by studies, realized that 40% of the spend of SMEs was to power themselves. And then we were giving loans to SMEs, and the feedback was that they are unable to pay us back because they don't have power to do business. So I started thinking, what's the alternative? What's the alternative? And, of course, in Nigeria, a lot of SMEs, there's this generator that all of us understand as, we know popularly called my better pass my neighbor. By the way, Nigeria has the highest per capita of generators in the whole world. It's been estimated that almost 80% of generators manufactured anywhere in the world comes to Nigeria. Huge problem, but massive and endless opportunity for you and I. So I started studying, materials around what are the energy challenge of SMEs, what are the alternatives. It was one of the reasons why I went to India also, because I read about a company that was doing greatly in that area, and I wanted to visit them. Of course, a huge expenditure to power ourselves. Remember, Nigeria has estimated by GIZ between 25 to 40 million units of generators in Nigeria. And every year, as at 2022, when fuel price was not increased, we were spending over $14 billion just to fuel generators. And then I started seeing things like this. I mean, there was a time that buying fuel in jerry can in filling station was banned. So people started rolling their generators to filling station and queuing like cars. And then I got interested in that space, and I also got an opportunity to work in Bank of Industry. It was actually with United Nations Development Program to create the first energy access program in Nigeria. So I started going around SMEs, talking to them about, phone chargers, barber shops, to say, look, there are better ways to power yourself. This generator is a waste. Beyond the cost of maintaining a generator, I'm sure many of us we have read, we have heard, we have come across information that says one family was wiped out because they inhaled smoke from generator. So it also has an other impact, beyond cost. And then this is the inspiration. So during that period, during my low moments, INT training, and just learning, I say, what next can we do? We all wrote projects. Mine was then I wanted to, create economic empowerment for the poor, grant them loan because that was my strength from microfinance. And then so I was on a retreat. Interestingly, it was on a mountaintop. And I was just reading my Bible, and this verse caught my attention. I came down from that encounter a different human being. And I just believed strongly that it was just God that inspired that. And then what did I do? I remember 26th of November 2012. I went home to my mom and said, look, there's an idea I have. I want to see if it will work. Give me your kerosene lantern. I will give you that device and let us see how it works. This was the beginning of what I do today in this space. Because she stopped using kerosene lantern, and not till today, as I speak. She's in Kogi State. She's over 90 now. Has never used kerosene lantern since 26th of November, year 2012. So it was an inspiration for me that, look, there's something massive here that one can do. And then I also had an encounter. I went to the barber shop. Then my afro was bigger than this. And this is my barber. I was having a haircut. And midway, there was a power outage. It was 1 week before Buhari took over government. It was in 2015, I think. I think it was 2015, if I'm correct. I should think so. So 1 week before he assumed the position of Mr. President, there was no fuel anywhere. I don't know how many of us remember. If you have money, there's no fuel to buy. Everywhere was dried up. And then I was having a haircut, and then NEPA, our popular up NEPA, took light. So I had to, I don't know if it was this face cap that he was putting on that I took home that day. And then when they brought light, I came back to quickly have my haircut. And then I was talking to myself, hey, Segun, you call yourself an expert in renewables, and you cannot solve the problem of this barbershop. That was the bridgehead. That was the inroad into that space. So I tested 3 systems before we got it right. And then we created an organization called Consistent Energy. So the idea was that, look, we want to give you energy that is consistent, unlike your NEPA, in quotes, that they can strike anytime. They can take it off anytime they like. Solar will give you consistent and reliable power. As long as the sun is shining, you are guaranteed. And I've experienced that for 12 years. I've had consistent power in my house for 12 years. This I can prove, and many others. So I felt that, look, if this can work for me, then there must be some business opportunity here. I remember the scripture also describes us as the repairer of the breach. So we are the ones that are to create solution for the problem of the world, and that was my own inspiration. I started looking at what's the market size. So I begin to narrow myself into which area do I want to play. For standalone rooftop for SMEs, the market potential per annum is called total addressable market size, was like $10 billion. My own small market, serviceable and addressable market, is about $500 million per annum. I mean, of course, there are many other guys, people doing what I do, what we do, okay, in consistent energy. But it also shows that the opportunities are huge. And then I also found out that, look, competition is almost non-existing. Okay, so let me say it again. I'm not saying there's no competition, but we felt that, look, the real competition are generators. Because all the solar companies, and this is where the opportunity also comes in for all of us, either as a user, you are saving money by displacing your generator and replacing with solar. You tell me that it's expensive, we'll come to how you can fund that. Or you join some of those organizations that have set up energy companies and taken advantage of it, or you invest in one, or you provide support. And I'll tell you the kind of support that we can provide as we make progress. And then I also realized that, look, you ask me if this is like a utopian state that we foresee. I mean, just like the moderator mentioned, that about 60% of this energy that will power us will come from renewables. Why are we not taking renewables? Why is everybody here? If I ask all of us here now, how many of us are powered by solar? I will be lucky to have half of us. Why are we not taking advantage of this energy that comes every day? It's like a resource that comes, we wake up to see the sun, and then the sun goes to set. Between the sunrise and sunset, we generate, we don't generate. The sun gives us huge opportunities to power ourselves with its own resource, but we don't use it. One of the challenges is cost, and that's where we came together, myself and my co-founder, Segun Adaju, who is here. We're former bankers, and we said, look, let us also bring financing into the space. So we started, and then we have another co-founder who left the banking industry later than after we left. But the two of us, myself and FA, Kola FA, pioneered and started the company. And then we decided to do financing of small barbershop. I remember the first barbershops we financed, 30 of them. People said, you are just a crazy man. You give barbers will not pay you. You are going to lose your money. But I had microfinance experience. And I knew that, look, if you work with groups and associations, it's a lot easier. And we introduce pay as you go. Many solar companies today they are trying to do that in Nigeria. But I mean, we pioneered that, and I think we should be one of the leading guys in there because we have relationship with these associations. So we created a solution called solar barber shops, and got funders. Now, one of the opportunities that also exist in the space is that there are huge potential of climate finance that many of us can write. I can confidently tell you that we have taken advantage of at least 3 major of those opportunities, and 2 major other ones are staring us in the face right now, that hopefully before the end of April. Also, that means we have seen opportunities where funding, climate finance can come in to support the business you are doing, almost for free. And I repeat, almost for free. So we've done several things. There is this park in Muri, no energy in there. We create a solution, meter it, and we can do remote monitoring. We have also moved into what we call solar fridges for productive use. This is one of the opportunities we are implementing with a major partner, a global partner, to roll out solar fridges for productive use. So you'll be surprised. I was in Kano um, a few days back, and a lady was telling us that some of those that buy ice block to cool their drinks for sale, they spend almost 3,000 per day, and it's not even enough. So came up with this solution that look, a solar fridge of this size can cool your drinks, and then it's completely powered by solar. It does not use battery. It can last for 10, 15 years. Or once you buy and deploy, you don't need any other thing. And then we estimated that you can sell at least average of 70 units of drink, cold water, coke, and whatever every day. We did the mathematics to see the margin they can make. So if somebody is spending 3,000 to buy S block per day, let's assume it's 5 days. I'm just assuming 5 days. That's about 15,000 naira for S block alone. So if you take this system now, you pay about 7,000 per week. Because of exchange rates fluctuation, is going to about 8,000 or 9,000. It's still a win-win situation. Okay, rooftops. We've done several residential households, including my own. There was one recently that we did. How many? Almost about 30 kilowatts peak for 3 households. My company has been involved in scaling or rolling out solar irrigation, solar dryers, solar grinding machine. This is in Kayama, Kwara State. This is in Buari, Abuja. This is in Bono. It's actually in I think it's Boma, one of those local, local governments in Borno State. And then we are seeing residential apartments. This is in Abuja, done by one of the players in the sector. Yeah, he actually was my mentor because when I started, I spent almost 1 year with him learning about these markets. He's a young man called Suleiman Yusuf. And this house is completely off-grid in Guzape Hills, Abuja. Highbrow, Abuja. No NEPA, in quotes, no generators. You can see solar water heating system. And if you I haven't been to Israel before, we have seen a lot of pictures, especially aerial pictures. That if you are dropping into Israel, one of those first attractions you see is solar water heaters, solar water heating systems on their rooftops. That's almost mandatory. Just like in Kenya, if you want to build a new house in Kenya, you will have to show the plan that will tell the approving authority that solar water heater is part of the plan for this house. Otherwise, you won't get approval. And then, of course, for one of my very good friend here, Engineer Sheung, can tell us the story about this. So this is a school that is powered by solar in Lagos. I'm sure you can. I'm looking forward to one day that a case study will be done by the likes of Lagos Business School on this facility that shows the power of renewables and the potential that exists. There are mini grids everywhere. We did our first mini grid in Awamba, Niger Delta. We're about to commission. So mini grid is for very rural communities that don't have electricity, no cables, nothing, no NEPA poles, and the next 10 years they might not. In fact, there's communities in Nigeria that I'm sure of till Jesus comes, they will not have a grid. So the fastest,
Dr.
quickest, and easiest.
Dr. Segun, sorry to cut you in. I sent you a private chat. I'm not some probably you saw that. You just
Okay,
have
so how many minutes
5
left?
more minutes. You have 5 more minutes now.
Okay, yes, I'm looking at my wristwatch too, actually.
Okay, great.
I have 5 minutes more, yeah.
Great.
Okay, so just to show the opportunities, I'm from Kogi State, and I know several communities in Kogi State don't have the grid. So this is an opportunity. This is a friend of mine whose major business is generators. They sell generators. So they bring generators to sell to you and I. Meanwhile, their facility in Oregon is powered by solar. Today, 50% of their business is solar. So they're divesting. This is a filling station that is powered by the first one to be tested in Nigeria, and total today should have close to 300, if not to 500 stations powered by solar. This is Igbobi Orthopedic Hospital. Many of us know that center. This is a base a cell site that is powered by solar. So, what are the opportunities? You don't have to be an engineer to be in this space. I am not an engineer. I'm an economist, but there are business opportunities in this space. And it goes beyond even setting up a solar energy company. For example, advocacy. This was done in Makoko. There are a lot of NGOs that are doing advocacy, engagement, and the rest, training, you know. And then solar, particularly, several things you can power. I've mentioned many of them, and I'll just skip through this. Of course, this slide will be shared so that we can also take a deeper dive and look at it again. So endless opportunities. Let me focus on this area because we're talking about renewable energy opportunities in Nigeria. Where can you play? Is it as an entrepreneur like myself or an investor in an existing business or as an engineer? Now Lagos alone, like I said, there's a deficit of over 200,000 engineers in that particular space. There are financial experts, accountants, financial modelers in this space. There are people who do training. I have a couple of friends, they set up schools to train in that area. There are even legal opportunity. My very good sister, um, you know, Solakwe Adesuyi and an associate, I think, also play in that space. I'm happy to say that. So you can be lawyers, you can be managers, you can set up a non-for-profit, you can be promoting advocacy, media engagement, several opportunities. For me, the future is renewables. There's no arguing it. The world understands that now. And it's coming home to Nigeria very, very gradually. So, what's the future? Is to build innovators and problem solvers. That's also another area where I know a young woman, Glory Egbogu, that's written books that train young ones like this to get into this place. The young man, excuse me, by the right, is my son. He says he wants to be an engineer, maybe because of what his father is doing. I would really wish him all the best. So I invite you to, put solar on your rooftop and then endless opportunities that you can take in this sector. Thank you for your kind attention. I think I still saved 2 minutes. I'll be happy to take questions.
You actually saved 1 minute, but it's fine. Thank you so much for that delivery. Thank you so much. Because for me, it was more like it's an eye. Not that I don't know one or two things about renewable energy, but it just brought, some other highlights out. And for me, the company that is using solar and they are selling generator to us, in fact, for me, it's like they're just telling us that you people, shine eye at all. Like we would say, as the street person, they are using solar and they are selling generator to us. Anyway, we'll get to that matter. So if you want to have questions for Dr. Segun, yeah, you could either use the chat. There is one question, about 2 or 3 questions on the chat box, which I would run through now. And if you want to, let's hear your voice. If you want to use that medium, it's fine, provided we all stay within the 10 minutes, which I will track. So you can actually indicate with your virtual hand. But meanwhile, Dr. Segun Adaju, we have one from Dr. Jackie. That's the first question that came in. It says, what happens during raining season? My neighbor here in my estate installed a solar panel, and during the rains last year, he had problems with light. And then the third question is, our street light here also was down during the times it rained heavily with little or no sunlight. Well, I think she answered that question here, but let's us hear from the expert. It says, or could it be the type of system installed? So please do justice to that. Then I will ask Mr. Folon Ushodayo, to ask his questions.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. So quickly, I just respond to this. Yes, you've answered the question. It is the quality of system deployed. And I will cite examples of, I've been on solar. I've said this for almost 12 years with no downtime, except when we need to get it maintained. So quality of system deployed. We do solar street light for one university, private university southwest of Nigeria, and I mean, there are no issues about that. So that also is a challenge that you and I can get into this space. I understand Otetola got into that sector of diesel and the rest when one rickety truck brought diesel into a new house he just moved into and dropped, traces of diesel. And the guy just said, hey, I need to go into that space. So if you've had this experience, or maybe your neighbor, I think it's time for your neighbor also to get into this space and do things properly. So it's actually the quality of technology deployed and the kind of organization that did the job.
Yeah, I totally agree with you because I have some people that use solar and for them it's beautiful. Yeah, so I think this is a man, Mr. Follow yes. I mean, based on your DP. Yes, please, can you go ahead and let's make it snappy, please. Your question, please go ahead. Unmute your mic and ask your question, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Doctor. Dr. Segun. Mine is not more of like a question. Mine is more of like a contribution and also an open sites. Like, Doctor has really opened my sites. I have a tax at hand, which he has also, with his presentation, he has been able to give me some strategies at which I can also get the results. But I'm also looking at the aspect of the biodiversity. I hardly find organizations that are interested in the area of biofuels. I've not seen a bio plant in Nigeria in terms of renewable energy, a bio plant, because recently I and my team we did a research on how we can use agricultural waste as alternative source of clean cooking for women in their homes, especially some state that has banned deforestation and using of charcoals. So we've been trying to see organizations that are interested in such ideas, that can sustain such ideas, because climate change is really eating deep, and this is part of the solutions. So I want to directly ask Dr. Segun, does he really have much ideas about when it comes to clean cooking, and how can such ideas, innovation, move forward further in the future? Thank you, sir.
Okay, please, and Dr. Segun, just hold on. Let's take Mrs. Ayotola Jagun's question that you can answer both together. Yes, so Mrs. Jagun, please go ahead and ask your question.
Actually, it's not a question. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak to the question that just came up.
Okay, that's fine. Dr. Segun, do you mind?
Please go ahead.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay.
So please go ahead.
So my day job is I actually head the ESG strategy, environmental, social, and governance strategy for my company, which is an oil and gas company, Oando. We have a clean energy business, OCEL, and we're into renewables as well as EV vehicles. I'm aware of a lot of technology around biofuels. So the Gates Foundation has what they call an omniprocessor. It's been deployed in Senegal. And what it does is it takes raw waste, human waste, sludge, and agricultural waste, and converts it into energy, as well as biomass, which is, can be used. What it does is it extracts 100% of the pathogens in the human waste, in the agricultural waste. And you can imagine just how much human waste is disposed of in our waters illegally, in the sewers, in the lagoon. And what it does is it converts it, like I said, into clean drinking water, into energy, and into biomass, which can be used as fertilizer. So there is technology available in that sense. There's also a lot of work being done in the clean cooking space with clean cook stoves. And those clean cook stoves also have trackers attached to which measure the amount of, I guess it's abatement now rather than decarbonization, and then uses that at the end of the day to claim carbon credit. So there's a lot going on in this space. And all I would say is, to Mr. Folorunsho, do your research. There are lots of opportunities if you are available to run the business, because you see, a lot of people have ideas but they want to make it a side hustle. And renewables are something that you really just need to focus on. Like has been said, there is a lot of funding coming in. There's lots of people wanting collaborations. And I'm talking about international companies wanting to collaborate, wanting to share technology. Like I said, there's this one by the Gates Foundation. There's also a Dutch company that are also doing omniprocessors. And the wonderful thing is also that a lot of these companies are willing to offer financing. So we find that even in the EV vehicle space, a lot of the producers of the EV vehicles are willing to give you credits on very, very good terms because they also want to sell their products. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. There is one from Miss great presentation, sir. Can you please advise on the kind of effective and efficient system for greater results? Do you understand? It looks
Okay.
if you do understand it, then Dr. Sheb will say, can we please invite the lady for a session to talk on the issue? Oh, okay, that's fine. I'm sure Brother
Yes.
Shemu will pick that up. Okay, do you want to say one or two things concerning that? Then we can wrap up.
Okay, yes, thank you so much, Ma, for that intervention. I totally agree with you. At a time in my career, I was also the regional markets manager for the Clean Cooking Alliance for West Africa. So I can even confidently tell you that the biggest thing coming for renewables is clean cooking. The market potential is huge because people will have to eat. All right, so I totally agree with you. And of course, there are case studies also. There's a lady who did a mini grid in the outskirts of Abuja, powered by agricultural waste, Ajima farms. So those are common. And there's also another lady, Inni, I think, whose specialty is on biogas for residential household, converting the human waste into cooking gas. And if you are building a house now, she gives you a consultancy to say, look, this is the level of waste that can power your building. And thank you so much, Mr. Ademola Ogunbanjo is my very good friend, and I love my heart, to all the team in Orlando that's also very forward-looking. Now, finally, advice on the kind of effective or efficient system for greater results. Look, and I'll just say, work with the right company, get the right expert to do this job for you. Today, there are lithium batteries that, you could just look like a box that will last you 10, 15 years. You don't have to change batteries. So the advice is, please get a good organization, get a good engineer who knows what they're doing to properly advise, do an energy audit, and properly size the system that you want to use. On that note, I want to say thank you. And
yeah, before you run away, I have two questions, maybe one question and, well, two questions thereabout. Yeah. And I think I will speak for everyone here. We're talking about investment opportunities. I listened to a presentation yesterday. Yes, they were talking about REITs or something that has to do with mortgage, where you don't even have to own the land. Yes, but you can put in bits and pieces. People can come in and put in their small investments to have. So you have a portion of that, more like shares in the company. I think it's REITs or something. Those that in the mortgage industry will understand. So I was just thinking, can you, being the expert and you are open to all these opportunities, can you come up with something like that, like an investment window for members of the INT family? Because people can have finances, but where do they plug to? And I know it's not just about you saying you want to run this. The finances also matter. So it's like, okay, I'm taking part of this responsibility. So that is one. And then two, talking about the home. Yes, you did ask a question that how many people, though you did not ask, it was more like you are tempted to ask that how many people have, their houses powered by solar, and well, thankfully, maybe you did not ask. Like in my own case, I have inverter, but I don't have solar. So I'm asking this. is there a package that you can sell? I know you've talked about the different products you've sold to the barbers and all that, which I'm also aware ahead of this presentation. But do we have for the homes, and is there installment, So these are things that I think I'm speaking on behalf of so many other people on this call. Probably you might not want to answer here, but if you do have answers, fine. If not, it's something that we can, I'm sure that Brother Shion can actually talk, or maybe the INT alumni president, chairman rather, will talk, but let's have your take.
Okay, thank you so much, and I'll quickly respond to this. And this is a very innovative idea you've just dropped. So rates, I think, the real estate investment trust, something like that, is like a mutual fund or a crowdfunding opportunity where others can invest and take some bits and parts of every business. Yeah, I'll definitely come up with an idea, maybe narrow down to INT, because it's a community that I also know very well. And yes, for homes, we're doing solar for homes. I mentioned we just finished a job about 30 kilowatt peak, for 3 residential households. And we have funding partners now. We have 2 leading banks in Nigeria that we can take a customer to, that they get funding for their solar. And then one microfinance bank that does our SMEs. So yes, another idea is also even do a special package, just like we have done for barbers and dress, a special package for the INT community. I'll discuss with Engineer
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Segun Adaju. Thank you very much. Yes, you can introduce Dr. Tului next, ma. Oh, that's a private, that's a private message. Yes, that is exactly what I want to do now. My oga at the top is giving me instructions, so that is what I want to do now. So for the next few minutes, I want to hand over to the alumni chairman, Dr. Tului. There is a proposal that he will share himself. So, Dr. Segun Tului, please, can you have the floor? Thank you.
BFA, thank you so very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. And then probably after you just do the closing, so I don't need to show my face again. Thank you.
Oh, but no. For that reason, I'm not going to do the closing directly, because I would want to see the face again. Yes. A very good evening to everybody. Dr. Adaju, that was a splendid presentation there. But before I go directly into the things that I have to do very shortly, I would want to just add to what you're saying, because I've had a whole lot of people spoken, especially the lady that came from Moando. I don't know her name, but I'm just going to get her name, because I think I will need to get into a closer talk with her. But she raised some very vital issues, Dr. Adaju. Maybe you not need to begin to think about regulation. You need to begin to think about developing capacity, because we were talking about people, and I think that is where INT can begin to make some pitches, because I'm just looking at how we can begin to cream off from all the things that you are doing. So maybe if you begin to look at regulations, that will control the kind of people that can play, how they can play, where to play, and how it can be organized. And that might excite the development of capacity. You say you have friends who are doing a lot of trainings, because it is true, there's all kinds of characters playing in that field now. And I think regulation must be something that you must be really thinking about if you want to go ahead. And then there will be a last question of scale, because scaling for renewable is a serious issue. And I would want to see how you can begin to excite us to look for solutions to such issues. So having said that, thank you so very much for a job well done. I would quickly want to go to an issue that I think we all need to begin to look at. I do not know, Segun, can you help me to project that letter from, it's an advert actually, an advert. Thank you so very much, Segun. There's an advert that came to my notice this morning. It's an advert that is calling for memoranda towards the Constitution. And there's a national dialogue I was in this morning that raised some very interesting issues concerning the Constitution. And you know, we said to ourselves at INTAAN that half of the things we want to begin to do is to drive change appropriately in the fields where we can. It's not showing very well. Is it my eyes or is it my screen? I'm not sure anybody can read this, but if they cannot, what we will do, and I think we already have done that, is to put it on the portal so that everybody can address it. And the reason we want to talk here tonight is that we might begin to situate ourselves in such a way that we can intervene. If we say we are a people who wants to do transformation, this is a veritable opportunity for us to weigh in. If the National Assembly is come, no, I think it's the Paisels, Sheon, it's the Paisels. There's not much we can do, it's the Paisels, so we just let it be. And folks will just read it up on the portal, because after this, we are going to be putting it on the portal. Okay, so having said that, what we want to do is to begin to truly engage. We have been talking, we have been learning, and so many resource individuals, like we just had this evening, has poured out 30 years, 20 years, 15 years, 40 years of their lives into our lives. It's about time we begin to walk that talk. It's about time we begin to truly impact our marketplaces. And to do that, we have a veritable opportunity before us to begin to look at the Constitution of Nigeria. At the national dialogue I was in today, an eminent personality came, and we had a keynote address from the gentleman, Mike Ezekome, who did a splendid job in dissecting the 1999 and other historical constitution we have in this country. But it came to fore as a consensus, actually, that our constitution is truly defective. In fact, he used a very strong word that it is illegal. There's something about the legitimacy of the constitution. And if that is true, I think INT should begin for all the things that we have learned. I think it's about time that every one of us take a look at that constitution. Let us spend a few hours, maybe tomorrow, day after, because we are on a short leash here and the time is flying on us. Let us look at the constitution, look at the advert that has been given to us, and begin to think, how can we weigh in? What can we do? And to do that, we don't want us to do it as individuals. We want to do it as a team. Because I think it's about time that INT begin to have positions about national matters. And the call tonight, as I will presently sit the floor to a lawyer in our midst, because I don't want to pretend I understand the intricacies of these things. I'm just like you, somebody who's just soaking in what is happening in the environment and trying to make sense out of it. I'm only an engineer, but we have lawyers in our midst. And we are going to be ceding the floor to one of them so that they will bring us to speed on this constitution amendment and the call for all these confirmed things so that we will know exactly how to weigh in. But please, I want you to be iterative. I want you to weigh in, and I want you to study, because another meeting will be called. And that is going to be a working session at the INTAAN. And we will take this thing, dissect it, look at it, and bring up a position paper that we can now do memorandas on, so that we can now begin to influence as we have been taught to influence. Having said that, please permit me to cede the floor to Barrister Sholakwe. Barrister Sholakwe, if you're there, the floor is yours. Thank you, folks. I might come in later and we can take it on from there.
Thank you, Dr. Tuluyi. Good evening, leaders. Good evening, everybody. And okay, it's been a wonderful night of insights from different dimensions. Thank you so much. Very importantly, I think my own assignment here would be to simply say to us that we have a task ahead of us. From the advertorial, INT has an opportunity to contribute to the transformation of Nigeria by putting our voice and our position in this subject matter of constitutional review. Of course, it is not new. We've been going over this year in, year out, government after government. But of course, it's to ensure that we have a better constitution. And without doubt, the senior advocate, Mike Ezekome, is a how do I put it, is an expert as far as constitutional law is concerned. And I know he would have done a great job to do that. But beyond that, we all know that the constitution is defective. What we now must begin to look at is creating solutions that will help Nigeria to move forward. And we believe that after our several years of being under INT trainings and development and all the ideas that have come to our mind, we can seize this opportunity to contribute and then come up with a document robust enough that we can present to the National Assembly. So what we want to do now is to form a working group, a working committee that can quickly sit down on the different ideas and proposals that we can garner from this house of intelligent people and leaders to present a document that we would work on and be able to present tonight to the National Assembly. So the only thing I'll say is I know that we have several lawyers and people in the government, experts in different places. And if you look at the advertorial, it's identified some specific areas that the changes would be addressing, from the structure of Nigeria in terms of the federal structure, to gender issues, to traditional rule, to National Assembly, to presidency, to immunity, quite a number of issues that we know are fundamental to the development of Nigeria, even to electoral laws, which we know is very critical to the governance in Nigeria. So all I want to say is that because the time is fast running, a working committee will be set up, but we want volunteers. We want as many as passionate, and you are called into this governance space and there is something you can add, you want to join that working group. We'd like you to quickly identify yourself by indicating to our national director, Engineer Shion, so that we can reach out to you, and then we'll fix another meeting where we can sit down and quickly begin to ventilate. In the meantime, if you do not even think you want to be a part of the working committee, but you want to contribute, you can pull down your thoughts together. There is nothing that is irrelevant. Please, any idea, whatever you have discussed before, or perhaps you have heard somewhere, or you think is working in another clime and can work in Nigeria, I would like you to put them down and then send to INT, send to us we'll be sending to the working committee via the INT admin. I think we can put the INT email in the chat so everybody can write that email address down and send in whatever you have. The time, what the constraint we have is that of time. So if we can put it down tonight, it's even better. And if you can quickly indicate in a couple of hours, you will be reached out to, and then we can schedule another time where the committee, the working group, can sit down and begin to work. Thank you, Charity. So the email is in the chat room, in the chat box. Kindly copy the email on WhatsApp. Thank you so much. Interested members, you want to join the working group, please send your message to send an SMS to this number. And then if you think you will be too busy for the working group, but you have something you want to contribute, kindly send to the email, and then we'll be able to take it up from there. But we want to believe that we will respond to this. We have learned a lot, we've been ventilating, but here is our opportunity to put our voice, INT, in the national space by presenting a paper. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Tolu. I think I've done my bit. Thank you so much, sir. God bless you.
Thank you so very much, Barrister. I think we don't need to chase this for too long. This is exactly where we are at. And it's about time we begin to walk the talk. Let us begin to think about it. And if you do not know what to do, please, all we need to do is, like people who truly are yearning for transformation, let us take the Constitution and study it, and then make sure we contribute. And I think every one of us should be interested in this, because if it was roundedly discussed and roundedly concluded that it is defective, I think we should do something about ensuring that we have a weapon. I mean, we have a document all of us can relate with that can help us in developing ourselves. Okay, so having said that, Sholakwe, thank you so very much for what you have done. And I know that we would be weighing in. You have the addresses now. One more thing, if you cannot do email, you cannot, just put it in the WhatsApp box. We will pick it. Wheresoever it is you want it to be put it there. That is easy for you. We will pick it up and then get back to you quickly, so that all of us can now sit back and think about it, talk about it, and then arrive at one INT position that we are going to continue to chase. Sister Buki, you still want me to conclude? You still want me to conclude this meeting?
Yes,
so
please
do
a closing prayer.
I need to see your face.
I was about making a jest that who will be working with Dr. Tolui and will not pick up the word ventilate. So when my said that, I said, my God. So we must ventilate.
Okay.
So please,
I think we have had a very good meeting.
Thank you so much.
I think we have had a very good meeting tonight. And since the Lord has fallen on me to round it up, please, I would want to read a verse of the Bible to all of us. I would want to read a verse of the Bible to us, and I'll read it in 2 translations. Please don't mind the coarse language. It is not my language. It's the language as the translation put it. It is taken from the book of Proverbs, Proverbs chapter number 1 and verse 32. Proverbs chapter number 1, verse 32. I will read it in 2 translations, but I would encourage all of us to read in different translations. You're going to find something quite interesting in it. And this is what it says in contemporary English version. It says, sin and self-satisfaction bring destruction and death to stupid fools. I'm sorry, the language is squares, but it's not my language. Okay? Sin and self-satisfaction. I will read another translation, the TPT, that's the Passion Translation. It says, like an idiot, you've turned away from me and chosen destruction instead. Your self-satisfied smugness will kill you. And those are the words. And there are many other coarse language like that follows it in different kind of translation. All kinds of translation. You're going to see that the Lord is angry with a people who are smug in their emptiness, angry with the people who simply just refuse to lift a finger, refuse to walk the talk, refuse to do the things that they need to do. People who, instead of actually impacting the marketplace, elect to kneel down and pray and raise hands even to heaven. People who are hiding behind prayers and fasting while they should be impacting the community, while they should be impacting society, while they should be directing causes in the marketplaces. We have come to INT not because we want to continue. Yes, prayer is good, but it is time to begin to make our impact felt. It is time to begin to truly determine the course of event. I think it was one of those people, I've forgotten the name right now. He said the best way to predict tomorrow is to create it. And it's on that note, actually, that I want us to leave this meeting and begin to ponder the issues. We need to leave this meeting and let the fire be lit in our hearts and in our minds to know that nobody is going to come and effect the kind of change that we want to see in this nation. The change is with us, and we must begin to put wheels on them if we truly want them to move. Because potential is potential. It will never impact if it won't become kindnesses. We need to begin to look at how our potentials will become kinetics. And the Lord in his infinite mercy, even as we have continued to come and talk to ourselves, will grant us that grace, that insight, that moment that will begin to make impact for us in the community in which we have found ourselves. And on that note, please, I want you to bow down your head wherever it is you are, because you are there and the Lord is there with you. And I want you to just examine the event of this evening. Just reflect on that event. I want you to look at it. I do not know what the Lord has deposited in your spirit. And I do not know how you have connected with that deposit. But I am just trusting God that this fire is lit in you. You are not going to let it go to another ebb anymore. From here on, he is going to continue to be a flame. A flame. It won't conflagrate you, but it will be a flame that will be a buzz even for change in this nation. I do not know about you, but in my heart, even this minute, I'm saying to myself, Father, if you can count on anyone, here my hands lifted up to you. I want you to count on me. I want you to count on me. As we begin to bring that prayer to a close, I would want to pray with you, if you do not mind. And now I begin to pray. In Jesus' name. Our Father and our God, you are the Lord that have the times and the seasons. You called forth light out of darkness. We thank you because of your goodness and your mercy. Because only your mercy and your goodness could bring us to this point where we are discussing issues as we are discussing them now. By this enterprise, Father, we are asking for your grace, that your grace will lift us, your grace will lead us, and your grace will accomplish for us. That in the end, Father, through your grace, we will make that impact that you have created us to make. And our nations will be better for it. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Spirit of God. Amen. The Lord bless
Amen.
you. Thank you so very much for the time you've given me.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, leaders. Just on the screen, we have OPSI, the Executive Leadership Program, which you can still join. It runs one weekend every month for this flagship program at the Institute for National Transformation. Some of us, we have friends, we have family that should be part of this program. Please join and you will see a lot of change. The website for the application is there. The link has been posted, intinternational.org/OPSI course. And that program starts fully from April 2024. All right, so that will be the end of our announcement. I want to appreciate Dr. Segun Adaju. Thank you so much for such a wonderful session, and for everyone who has been here tonight. And Lord bless you, and have a wonderful night. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.